Welcome to Bluegrass Brooklyn, our podcast all about the music we love, straight from the Bluegrass borough of Brooklyn, New York. Welcome to this Festival Alert edition of Bluegrass Brooklyn podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wilner. On these Festival Alert editions, we like to tell you about festivals you may not have heard about, but we think you should. And today we're going to talk about the American Roots Music Festival up at the Caramoor Center for Music and the Arts. It's going to be on June 27th. It's an all-day event. Sounds really awesome. We get to speak with Gillian Fox, who's the president and CEO of the center, and she gives us insights into the festival, into the center's history, and sound art. You'll find out. Anyway, we hope you enjoy this interview and hearing about this festival. In the meantime, please remember, follow us at Bluegrass Brooklyn, Brooklyn spelled BKLYN, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can drop a line, Mike at bluegrassbrooklyn.com. I promise we will respond. Visit bluegrassbrooklyn.com. And if you're looking for jams in Uptown Manhattan, Bronx, Riverdale, and New Jersey, and beyond, check out bluegrassjamsnearme.com. Okay, why don't we get to the interview? Okay, so here we are with Gillian Fox, President and CEO of Caramoor. And before we get started, Gillian, thanks for taking time today.
Oh, my pleasure, Mike. Really glad to be here.
For those who may not know, Caramoor is a music arts nature center in upstate New York. And in this Festival Alert, we wanted to bring your attention to the American Roots Music Festival specifically, but there's a lot going on up there, so we got a lot of ground to cover. So Gillian, let's start off with this. Give us a very brief background on the festival itself.
The American Roots Music Festival started here at Caramoor in 2011, and it came out of this desire for us to expand our music profile here at Caramoor. Mm-hmm. Caramoor was founded originally focusing around classical music, chamber music, and opera, but over the past several decades has really expanded to a wide variety of music. And we had a lot of success in jazz in the decade prior. And so in 2011, launched the American Roots Music Festival, and it's been incredibly successful and now really is one of our signature events every summer.
Now, you mentioned the center. Let's not go too far before we talk about what is the Caramoor Center.
Yeah, so Caramoor, or Caramoor Center for Music and the Arts, was actually originally the home of Lucy and Walter Rosen, a gorgeous 81-acre estate with 4 historic properties on the campus. They purchased the home in the late 20s and repurposed what was the farm group of buildings into their home, which is now the Rosen House. It was finished in 1939. Mm-hmm. And then the family left the entire estate to the community at large, turned it into a nonprofit music center in 1945. And so Caramoor, as a nonprofit, as a presenter of music, we're 81 years old and now present about 60 concerts every year, 100 public programs. We have afternoon tea, tours of the Rosen House. So it's really grown quite a bit. And I think the Rosens would be really proud of how their legacy continues to evolve.
What a great repurposing and continuation of their legacy. So the festival takes place on June 27th, unless I'm mistaken?
That's right. Saturday, June 27th.
Right. Now, I saw that the lineup was quite diverse and a lot of music I might not have expected. What's the filter? What's the driving vision or thought process that goes into setting the lineup for this festival?
We partner with City Winery. While it's our festival, this is a really great brand partnership. They help us with the curation and collaborate on promotion, since this is just slightly out of maybe what was originally our curatorial focus. But now the curation for the day focused on presenting a cross-section of American roots music and different types of traditions within American roots music across 4 stages. We have both better-known artists as well as new rising stars, and we're able to kind of evolve throughout the day and match the right artist with the concert setting.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other programs. There's an awful lot going on at Caramoor. Can you give us a sense, before we get into detail on the festival, what is coming up in the next couple of months?
Sure. The night right before the festival on Friday, June 26th, we have Isaac Mizrahi. He's an incredible jazz singer, but also fashion icon. And that'll be a really fun, different kind of concert in our Venetian Theater. We have our Jazz Festival, which is kind of the sister festival to the American Roots. And that is on Saturday, July 5. Emmett Cohen Trio is headlining that one. And then we have Patty Griffin, who, incredible folk singer, is going to be here on Saturday, July 11th, with also we have two early music operas.
Wow.
And then we close out the season on August 2nd with Orchestra of St. Luke's with the incredible violinist Gil Shaham. So it's truly a wide cultural oasis in terms of our programming.
Let's focus the lens back on the Americana and Roots and Folk Festival. The center has been presenting this for a while. Are there any really memorable guests or artists that you'd like to sort of...
Yes. Oh, that's such a good question. So some of the most notable artists who played this festival are Hot Tuna.
Oh, wow.
Rhiannon Giddens, Roseanne Cash, Lucinda Williams, Sarah Watkins, John Fulbright, Amy Mann, Sarah Jarosz. It's been a pretty great lineup. Some of them playing at the height of their career and some really kind of as they were themselves rising stars. And that's something that Caramoor has really established itself for in our world, is that kind of I heard them first at Caramoor vibe.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the festival itself. About how many people are you expecting?
About 1,500.
Let's say you got 1,501. Mike shows up on the 27th. Talk me through a day, what the experience is going to be for the festival goer.
I love that. So the grounds open at noon, but the first band goes on at 12:30, and that is on Friends Field. Friends Field is our central outdoor picnicking and blanket type venue. And along that field, we're going to have our Bravo bar with drinks and concessions. We're going to have local food vendors, or you can bring your own. And it's that super casual, what you think of when you think of a folk festival kind of vibe. But then we have music moving across all 4 venues throughout the day. So we also have the Venetian Theater, which is our 1,500 seat tented, iconic venue. It's called the Venetian Theater because we have true Venetian columns that were built in the 14th or 15th century in Venice, and then moved to France, and then eventually moved here to Katonah, New York. And they showcase the space. We have 2 artists performing in the Sunken Garden, which is this really beautiful structural walled garden that has all native pollinator plants and is really very meditative. And then my favorite venue, which is the Spanish Courtyard. And this is the inner cloistered courtyard of the Rosen House. It seats about 350 people. And these tend to have a really awesome acoustic set from artists who are performing an amplified show on one of the bigger venues. So it's a nice opportunity to hear the artists in different ways. And almost all of the artists perform 2 sets throughout the day. So even though we've got 4 stages moving at once, if you wanted to, you could hear everybody kind of by catching them in different areas. And they're not going to perform the same set twice. They're going to do an amplified set in one location and an acoustic in another.
That is so cool. So first of all, you eliminate the FOMO factor of rushing around trying to hear half of one set and half of another. I'm interested, when you say acoustic, they're amplified, or is it purely acoustic?
That's a great question. I think it depends on the artist. It can be some amplification, but some, if they wanted to do a truly stripped down set, they could.
Wow, that's really interesting because, you talk to a lot of the folk and roots type musicians. They say hearing the music from the instrument to your ears versus filtering it through a sound system is really the way to go for some of this music.
Absolutely. I've been to Newport Folk. I've been to some of these other bigger folk fests. And what's so special about Caramoor is we're getting that same level of really big talent. That level of musicality is there. But this is such an intimate environment. Think about how many musicians are here, the 4 stages, but it's about 1,500 to maybe 2,000 people tops. And so there's this level of intimacy, this closeness with the artists. We talk a lot about at Caramoor, not just the connection between audience members, but the connection between audience member and the artist. It's just such an intimate, beautiful, natural space.
Are there any artists you're particularly excited about having booked this year?
Yeah, we're really excited about Southern Avenue. That's the Memphis soul band. They're probably the biggest name on, and we're really thrilled to have them here. I think it'll be a great way to end the evening. Very high energy. But I know some of our audiences are particularly excited for Deadgrass.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing the Grateful Dead with the acoustic string band. And then there's this rising star, and I didn't know him before, but I'm really excited now, Caleb Caudle and the Sweet Critters.
Yeah, I hear a lot about Caleb. He's really incredible. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. So maybe a lot of your listeners will be just as excited as we are.
Let's talk a little bit about the specific logistics of the show. How do people get up there? Katonah's upstate New York, right?
So we are only an hour north of the city. So that's the first myth we always like to dispel. We're certainly upstate when you think of versus the city, but you can take Metro North here, and we do run a free shuttle from the Katonah train station the whole day. So if you're coming from the city, if you're coming from Brooklyn, you can take public transit and there's the free shuttle, or you can drive. We have tons of free parking here on property, and there's always going to be someone who'll help you get where you need to go.
How do people get tickets? How much are they?
You can go to our website, caramoor.org. You can also call the box office, but the website, I think, is what most people like to do these days.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are $64 for adults for the whole day or $30 for kids.
So first time Caramoor goer, what do you suggest I be prepared to do? What should I bring?
Yeah. If you want to bring nothing, you can. It's a very comfortable experience. There's picnic benches. You can buy food on site. You can plan nothing at all. But if you're like one of the folks who wants to really camp out for the day, bring a blanket, bring some, chairs to put on the lawn. You can bring your own food. You can bring your own wine and beer as well if you want, but also there'll be things on site. If you do go online and purchase, you can also pre-order a picnic. If you want to know exactly what you're having, there's a menu, and we have an incredible partner, GE Brown. They're a local food purveyor here, and they're done beautiful sandwiches or like dinners. You can get steak and chicken or salmon.
So pretty close to New York. It sounds like an easy day trip.
Exactly.
So bridging over to the center a bit more, the center sounds like a place worth visiting of itself. Can people just sort of show up and say, gee, I'd like to hang around and look around?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are open daily from 10 to 4 for free outside of concerts and, special events. You can always go to our website if you want to pop by. We'll have a banner if it's closed, but most of the time you can come in. We're actually right now in the process of partnering with Bloomberg Connects to offer a free grounds and gardens tour for those folks who just show up. We have a collection of sound art as well that is on all summer long. And it's a very beautiful place to visit. If you come on a Friday or Saturday, we do have tours of the Rosen House available. And those are docent-led small group tours. And the house is spectacular. So it's definitely worth the trip.
Okay, I got to back up a little bit. Sound art?
Yes. And actually, this is one of the things that we just launched a new website a couple of months ago. And it was the sound art was one of the things we had some of the most fun getting onto the website. So there's a collection of, I believe it's 6 different pieces of sound art, all commissioned specifically for Caramoor. The one people are used to seeing is called In C by the very famous sculpture artist Trimpin, and that's the big C with the chimes that you will see on our website in a lot of photos. There's a big red button that you can push. Kids love it.
Okay.
And it has, I think, 10 original compositions that it plays. There's a work called Chime that has speakers buried in the woodland gardens as you walk down a cedar walk. Or my favorite piece, which is called Wild Energy. It's back in kind of the overgrown area along the perimeter. We have some hammocks and benches, and it plays wild nature sounds in a really immersive setting, very meditative.
That sounds wild. To say Caramoor is a center for music, art, and nature, it sets a frame. But what's the vision? What's the mission of the center?
The vision is to center music in everybody's lives and to bring communities together and create more opportunity for connection. We talk a lot about how the Caramoor experience is one that's shared. It's something that we find provides a lot of clarity when we're testing a new program or initiative. Is this something that someone could do on their own, or is it really meant to be shared? And that's been a real driving force. My personal focus has been showing that Caramoor is a place that's great for families. Because Caramoor was founded as a private estate, and the first audiences were maybe Lucy and Walter's friends. It definitely has this lingering perception that it is exclusive, that it is adult only, that it's a private location. And so being able to share that none of that is true, that this is a community resource, that our gates are open almost all the time, and that it is a place that is already naturally fantastic for families and little kids.
Is there one other event or program at Caramoor you'd like the people interested in the Americana Festival to be aware of?
Well, I can't believe that I forgot to mention that the Punch Brothers will be here on Saturday, July 18th. And I imagine they are a big fan favorite of your listeners.
I can't believe you forgot to mention that. Yeah.
And they have a new album and they have a new member. So we're thrilled. They were here 10 years ago. And Chris Steele is a good friend of the festival. He performed here with the Knights last year. He's got an amazing concerto. But to have the Punch Brothers back performing their new album, we're thrilled.
That's amazing. Okay, so before we conclude, I want to thank you for taking time to discuss all this and to let people know about the festival and about the center. And I think it's awesome that the center does provide all those music programs, but also is available just in its own right as a destination. So it should be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Mike. This was really a pleasure. And I do hope you'll join us for the American Roots Festival. And I hope we'll get some of your listeners here too.
Well, now that I know about the Caramoor Center for Music and the Arts, I'm definitely going to have to check it out. Some amazing programming, and just the campus sounds incredible. It sounds to me like this is one of the iconic venues in our region, a center of gravity for music and for our community. So more later on this. But for now, please remember to follow us at Bluegrass Brooklyn. Drop a line, mike@bluegrassbrooklyn.com. Visit bluegrassbrooklyn.com. Check out jams, bluegrassjamsnearme.com. And for now, take care, and we look forward to seeing you around the Jam Circle.